Good evening, welcome to ITV News. This is Wednesday night's calendar.
And these are this evening's main stories.
Strictly no dancing. Nightclubs in Yorkshire and Lincolnshire still can't open their doors. They're calling for better guidance.
We have been pretty much left in the dark, so yeah, it's been hard. It's hard work because not knowing what you're doing, you can't make plans, you can't inform the staff. So you've got lots of people asking you questions and we're just playing like guessing games all the time.
Going for gourmet, Bridlington's ambitious plans to become the lobster capital of the world.
Carry on camping. The move towards pop-up campsites this year to cope with the predicted rise in staycations.
And we'll be live at Sincil Bank as Lincoln City kick off their League One playoff semi-final against Sunderland. And before we start this evening, a very warm welcome to everybody who should be watching Granada reports over in the northwest of England. Technical problems beyond our control means we can't get you to your programme just at the moment. We'll try the best that we can during the next half an hour, but very welcome you are to our programme this evening.
Yes, good to have you with us. Well, first though, to the crisis in the nightclub industry, which has warned that 3/4 of owners are facing bankruptcy.
Yes, scores of nightclubs across the northwest, Yorkshire and Lincolnshire have closed since the start of the pandemic, according to the Industries Association.
Nightclub owners across our region say it's time they were allowed to reopen, but a Yorkshire virologist has told us that they should remain closed until we know more about the Indian COVID variant and more young people have been vaccinated. David Hurst reports.
A ticker tape return to normality for nightclubs. This experimental crowd event in Liverpool hinted at just that less than 3 weeks ago. But that was before the Indian variant became the party pooper. And for the owner of this nightclub in Lincoln, not being allowed to reopen on June the 21st would be a huge blow. We're
still the ones which are struggling the most because we're at the end of the roadmap, so we've kind of got the least support.
Reports today suggest recent government trials found that holding mass events without masks and social distancing can be as safe as going to a restaurant or shopping centre, boosting hopes that the end of restrictions can go ahead next month. But a Yorkshire virologist had this warning today.
There's no such thing as safe. There's no such thing as no risk. We've got a lot of people who are still not vaccinated, and we know, irrespective of the variants, how quickly things can spread. So at the moment, we just have to sort of hope that we have enough people vaccinated in order to keep things under control.
Not exactly music to the ears of those who run the lead mill in Sheffield, a popular venue with students, many of whom haven't yet been vaccinated.
We're usually a club that can fit 900 people into our main room, and when we're doing seated socially distanced events, it's restricted down to around 140. So it's obviously a dramatic decrease, which makes it incredibly difficult to be able to make a profit on our events.
Paul Kinsey, who owns several nightclubs in South and West Yorkshire, believes all the uncertainty is killing the industry.
We're currently recruiting up to 200 staff to reopen on the 21st of June. We're having to commit to buying stock. So if we don't, it throws all those plans into disarray.
Ministers are starting to see the results of experimental crowd events, including the World Snooker Championship at the Crucible Theatre in Sheffield. But one said today the Indian variant has created a more cautious approach to ending restrictions.
We've seen what happens with highly transmissible viruses before. We had that before Christmas here with the Kent variant. So, it's right that we wait for the evidence and then, we take the decisions based on that information.
Back in Lincoln, Jason Reed and his team are trying to create smaller outdoor events in the city until things become clearer. Opening the nightclub to a full capacity still feels a lifetime away.
You can't make plans, you can't inform the staff. So you've got lots of people asking you questions and we're just playing like guessing games all the time.
For him, it's an industry which feels like it's in the dark. And for now, the party's on hold. David Hurst, ITV News.
Hello there, welcome to a slightly delayed Granada Reports. We apologise for the interruption due to a fire alarm about a minute before the programme, but we will press ahead with the show this evening. So first this evening, the Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, has been warned there could be unrest in COVID hotspots if the government brings in local lockdowns to contain the Indian variant.
The Conservative leader at Bolton Council said the tier system didn't work as people simply travelled out of the area, and many in the town agree.
We don't want to go down that road again. I think the businesses have suffered enough. So have the people.
It will be sad and actually tragic because, you know, for everybody.
Prison again, yes.
It's a big impact. Like, obviously, you're working and stuff. People are staying at home. You're not earning a lot of money. So then it is going to affect a lot of people. Obviously, if you've got a big family, you need to provide for them. If you haven't, you're going to be struggling a lot.
Well, David Greenhalgh told me there was a danger of feelings running high if a local lockdown was imposed on Bolton again, when the roadmap is for the rest of the country to open up in June.
I say this because there was resentment built up last year, and that resentment is still very, very much in the minds of people. We have spirit. We respond to a challenge. You know that, Elaine, more than anyone. We're a great set of people. But there will be anxiety and there will be resentment, and that was very clear when we suffered the degree of lockdown, which was unfair. And I do worry that people, realising it doesn't work, there will be a degree of unrest. We'll obviously do everything we can to prevent that, but we know emotions will run high.
There could be real anger, though, because couldn't this have been avoided if India had been put on the red list far sooner? And was a trade deal with India put before lives and livelihoods in Bolton?
There clearly is a connection to international travel. We know, though, anecdotally, that the ways are often found out. Had India been put on the red list, we know that people have travelled to Turkey to come through on it. People find ways round this.
But as a Conservative leader of the council, are you telling the government that they should have acted sooner and Bolton can't be punished as a result?
Well, hindsight is a wonderful thing, but I'm definitely telling them that Bolton should not be punished at the moment, and our hospitality should not be punished. That is a clear message I'm sending every day when I speak to civil servants and ministers, that this is not the right thing to lock us down. So that is the message I've been doing right from the start, and we'll continue to do that. And we'll continue to put the case for Bolton and those businesses. We've suffered enough.
Were you angry when Matt Hancock, the Health Secretary, blamed people for not getting the vaccine? And the figures don't show that. It's younger people driving this rise.
I don't want really to enter into a blame game. I think when people start to enter into the blame game, that is when there is a degree of unrest, which I'm uncomfortable with. But clearly we're doing everything we can in our door-to-door visits to persuade people to have the vaccine of all ages. And I visited the ESSA Academy, where we've got the massive vaccination rollout currently. And, you know, I don't want to sound cliche, but it was really emotional to see so many people queuing up to have their vaccines.
Is there embarrassment for Bolton that it is back at the highest rates again?
I hope there's not embarrassment. I mean, I'd ideally love to be on this call talking to you about Bolton having high rates again. I don't like that, but we are doing everything we can. And Bolton, as I say, has a spirit, and we've come together as a people and as a borough to fight this.
David Greenhalgh, a big task in Bolton. Thanks for talking to us tonight.
Thanks, Elaine.
Well, in the last hour, the Health Secretary has confirmed that surge testing will now be rolled out to Burnley. Almost 3,000 people have now tested positive for the Indian variant across the country, a rise of 28% in just 2 days.
OK, next tonight, and the fallout from that damning report into Liverpool Council is continuing tonight as councillors meet for the first time since its release.
Yeah, Max Caller's report accused the council of having a culture of bullying and intimidation.
Well, the inspector told us whistleblowers were forced to speak anonymously because of fear of reprisal.
Well, we can cross live to our political correspondent, Hannah Miller, at Wavetree Tennis Centre, where that all-important meeting is taking place. Hannah, the council has already promised reforms.
It It has in the last few minutes, in fact, Gamal. This has all become over and done incredibly quickly. The mood in this room very much one of accepting the need for change, and councillors have just voted to accept that improvement plan. It will see £1 million set aside to improve the highways and regeneration departments that came under criticism. It will also see a reduction in the number of councillors, and elections moved to only once every 4 years. For the new Mayor Joanne Anderson, tonight was a real moment as she addressed her first full meeting of Liverpool City Council. She was very keen to put real distance between herself and her predecessor, Joe Anderson. I sat down with him earlier and I asked him whether he accepts the need for this improvement plan.
I think there are some recommendations within the report, and some, of course, that people will have suggested and asked for that need to be carried out. So, I welcome that, but I also have some serious concerns. A lot of his report is misinformed, inaccurate, half-baked, half-truthful, full of innuendo, smears and generalisations. And so I'd take the report with a huge pinch of salt. However, I do think, as I said, Liverpool City Council can improve, should improve, like every single council across the country can and should.
In the regeneration department, the report found people were intimidated. Those who didn't comply didn't last.
What do you say to those people who worked for Liverpool City Council and felt bullied or intimidated on your watch?
Well, yeah, I mean, when you say on my watch, I mean, first and foremost, I would say to them, well, if that was happening, it's wrong. And I apologise if I didn't know. If I was aware of it and would have known about it, then I would have asked for the trade unions and I would have asked for Liverpool City Council to deal with it. But, I wasn't, and that's the point.
The report also looked at 65 property deals. It found issues with every single one.
Do you accept now that some of the deals weren't the best value for the city?
No, I don't accept that. And I've yet to see any evidence at all within his report, none whatsoever, that proves that Liverpool City Council didn't get value for money in any of the deals that it did. You only have to look east to west, from north to south of this city to see the transformation. So
but
my
isn't the
job...
thing that if you're going to take responsibility for the successes like that, you also have to take responsibility for the failures?
Of course, absolutely. That comes with the territory, I mean,
So you do take responsibility for some of the failures then that are outlined in the report?
Well, of course I will, but what I won't be taking responsibility is for failures that haven't existed or failures that don't exist.
Some people might say, at worst you're corrupt, and at best you're incompetent.
Well, I think, the corruption allegation and the corruption charge is something that I will fight and clear my name. And, that's been around. Well, I'm going to deal with that, of course, but because, you're only as good as the information and the people that you employ. I don't think you can call me incompetent because I haven't been given information or facts, or we haven't had enough personnel to do things in a way that we maybe should have done.
Do you think you did anything wrong?
No, absolutely not.
I doubt that will be the last that we hear from Joe Anderson. He set up a whole website refuting the claims in the Calla report in detail. We did speak to Max Calla on the programme last week. He stands by everything that is in the report. It's hard to believe that only 6 months ago it would have been Joe Anderson addressing this meeting tonight. He's reduced to a bystander as Liverpool politics tries to move on.
OK, Hannah, in Liverpool, thank you. A story will continue to follow.
In other news this evening, and a 12-year-old boy is in a critical condition after he was hit by a car that failed to stop in Manchester. It happened as he was crossing Barlamore Road in Chorlton. He was airlifted to hospital with serious head injuries. Police said the car involved didn't stay at the scene and is understood to have turned left onto High Lane.
2 teenagers have pleaded guilty to assault by beating after a pensioner was deliberately kicked into the River Mersey in Cheshire. Warrington Magistrates Court was shown footage of 18-year-old Benjamin Bridgman kicking 74-year-old Gordon Bradbury into the water while the attack was filmed. Bridgman and a 15-year-old who can't be named are due to be sentenced in June.
Burnley Football Club says it's disappointed after a number of fans tried to sell free tickets for tonight's Liverpool game. More than 3,000 fans will be at Turf Moor for the Clarets' final game of the season, and tickets were given away in a ballot as a goodwill gesture. The club warned anyone who turns up to the game under another supporter's details will be turned away.
Not such the happy place after all. Well, it has been a week of reopenings, and today some of Liverpool's best-loved cultural venues welcomed their first visitors back in many months.
Yeah, the Tate and Bluecoat Galleries and Fact Arts Centre have opened their doors, much to the relief of their regulars.
And from today, they're all joining the country's largest festival of contemporary art. Our Merseyside correspondent Andy Bonner has been all creative too.
It might be slightly later than billed, but the weird and wonderful is back. A year late because of the pandemic, Liverpool's biennial has finally opened its indoor chapter. 9 new free exhibitions across the city centre will complement the outdoor sculptures and installations which launched in March.
Liverpool is a city that is not only a name, it has a character. Then you have a biennial that has been here for more than 20 years. When we talk about internationally, it's actually that the world might be a bit different. So let's learn from that, or let's hear it how it is. Because of that, because that legacy, you invite to Liverpool, and immediately people has already an imagination created to come here. It's like Liverpool, boom, you have an image,
Themed around the perhaps surreal subject of the stomach and the port, 50 artists from 30 countries have sent commissions old and new which explore concepts of the body and its environment. Venues are operating timed ticketing because of COVID measures, but there is plenty to see. As well as in traditional galleries, the art can be seen in more obscure venues too, like the basement of the Cotton Exchange and the old Lewis's department store building. The guides have been eager to let people in.
I think it's absolutely brilliant for it to be in Liverpool this year as well, especially, and I think after the year we've all had, it's absolutely brilliant to bring everybody together after the pandemic as well, and just to have such a fantastic festival.
I love Liverpool as a city, and I love the people that live here. They're such curious people that always want to have a conversation, so it's an opportunity to talk to people regardless of what they think of the art. There's always someone that wants to have a chat.
Believe it or not, this exhibit is made from silicon, the artist blurring the boundaries between what's natural and what's artificial. The message that nature isn't fixed. Over at the Tate, Liverpool-born Linda showcases some of her work alongside a line of sculptured tongues and a beautiful artwork which entices the viewer to look beyond the facades. If you want to know what it's all about, John has already looked into it.
The nice thing about the biennial is that there are artists from all over the world that are coming to Liverpool. So the research doesn't just involve the artist or the artist's work. Sometimes you have to research their background, where they're from. I used to go into art galleries and point at things and say, what's that like? What's all that about? And then, and I always hoped that someone would be there to talk to me about it. But yeah, I'm happy to answer those questions. We all are, actually.
It may have been a long, cold, lonely winter, but with many exhibits extended well into the summer, smiles will be returning to the faces of this city's culture vultures. Andy Bonner, ITV News, Liverpool.
Finals. Let's hope so, and well done, Chris, for racing back into the studio after our fire alarm.
You guys beat me by a good 10 minutes there, though.
Yeah, we did. Our own presenter's race.
Should have worn my trainers. Finally, this evening, many of us have spent lots of time out walking, clocking up those miles during lockdowns over the past year. But actor Ryan Thomas has taken that to a whole new level.
Yes, the former Corrie star is almost at the finish line after walking 10 marathons in 10 days. His challenge has taken him from London to Manchester, and he raises money for the mental health and suicide prevention charity Calm. Stars from the world of sport and showbiz came together to cheer him on as he arrived at Old Trafford.
We sent along David Chisnell to join the welcome party.
Yeah, well, we're here with the man himself. It's some feat that he's doing. 262 miles from London to Manchester. And Ryan, you are here in Manchester and it's sunny as well. how does it feel to be here?
To start Buckingham Palace 10 days ago and to end up outside Old Trafford, dreaming of this moment, and on day one wanting to give up, and actually getting to the end and knowing that if you dig deep hard enough and you go through that pain, you can get through it. And that's what mental health is all about, is breaking the barriers and doing what you think isn't possible. And I've proved that, you know, I can do it, and it means that other people out there can do it. I've had so much support. We've raised over £130,000, which is... And that wouldn't happen without the help of the whole nation. The whole nation have been behind it, and we've all struggled this last year especially, and it's just so nice to, you know, bring awareness. I want people to know that you'd never have to be alone. There's always someone that will support you. And we're going to be so excited to hit Manchester Cathedral tonight and celebrate that mental health and that money we've raised. We love you.
You've got a lot of energy to someone who's done a lot of walking. I mean, just tell us, how have the emotions been over the last 10 days?
It's a real roller coaster. You know, the boys will tell you I've had a real low today, but when you come to that finish line and you can smell Manchester and everyone gets behind you and there's so many people waving and telling you their stories about how much you've saved their life, that's what it's all about. And we're going to get there and we're going to really enjoy it, and that's what's got me through it, the people.
Fantastic, Ryan. Well, thank you so much for your time today. We've only got a few more miles to go, so come on, everyone. Well, give yourselves a whole round of applause. Congratulations.
And can I just say one more thing? Chris Spouting has done this with me. Chris Spouting is my backbone on this whole journey.
Brilliant message there. Absolutely brilliant. And I think Manchester smells okay, doesn't it?
Smells perfect.
Now for the weather. Here's John.
That sunshine really made your eyeshadow pop, you know? And you put the wipe in the bin, not the toilet.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Go ahead, Queen.
Yes, hello again. So, some decent weather around today. Just a little bit of patchy cloud looking over the Mersey towards Liverpool earlier on this morning. Some bigger clouds did develop, though, like here over the Trafford Centre. That was going to give a shower before too long. And no, it's not a rocket taking off. It's Winter Hill lurking in the low cloud there over the Lancashire Pennines earlier on this morning. So, the best of the sunshine today was to be had at the coast. In that westerly wind, those showers did develop, but they didn't really get going until the Pennines. In fact, much of Lancashire and Merseyside having some decent weather through today. So overnight tonight, all is quiet. Those showers will gradually die away, and then it's largely clear skies. But later on tonight, some high cloud will start to move in from the southwest. The overnight low out in the sticks at around 4 or 5 Celsius. There's yesterday evening's sunset at Tockholes, not far from Blackburn. Tomorrow the sun's up at 5:02, setting again at 9:14. So it will start dry in the morning, but it won't be too long before that cloud thickens and a spell of rain moves up from the southwest, certainly by late morning. That rain quite heavy for a time, turning a little bit more showery tomorrow afternoon. The wind's picking up, especially at the coast. Gusts up to 50 miles per hour. Top temperature struggling to 13 Celsius, and more rain to come through tomorrow evening and tomorrow night. And indeed on Friday we still have that area of low pressure around, generating showers or longer spells of rain. Sunshine in short supply, I'm afraid, and again temperatures struggling to only around 13 Celsius. Saturday's not too bad. It should be mostly dry but rather cloudy, ahead of some more rain which is moving in on Sunday.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Those eyebrows are unreal.
Hello, summer. Piri sponsors ITV pollen count.
Yes, so some very unsettled weather coming our way, but there's an upside to everything, isn't there? The pollen count over the coming days is going to be low. That's it. That's your lot. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks, John. And that's all for a slightly shorter than expected Granada reports this evening, thanks to a fire alarm. But thanks for sticking with us and joining us.
I will be back with late news just after 10:30 tonight. We promise to be on time tomorrow. See you then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.